So Maria Bartiromo spoke to Kevin McCarthy, and she's going to ask a question here about impeachment, and he's going to answer. Now, there are a million legitimate criticisms of Biden. I know. I make them. And so I'm all for a good Biden criticism and trying to course correct and stuff, but look at the things that are floated here. Actually, I don't know if she's talking to Kevin McCarthy. It's some elected Republican. We'll see. We'll see in a second. But look at the reasons that are sort of brought up in the conversation here. This is crazy. Take a look.
I spoke with one of your colleagues on Friday on Fox Business, Greg Murphy, and he told me that all of the things that he is seeing from President Biden are impeachable, but the Congress is worried about impeaching him because they're not so confident about his number two. Here's Greg Murphy. I want to get your reaction to this. Watch.
I think there's going to be plenty afoot. There's plenty. If you look at Afghanistan, you look at the border crisis, you look at so many of these different things. The sad thing is, Maria, look at who's number two. Look at who's number two. I think number two is worse than number one. So this is the predicament that we're in. But these offenses that this president has done against the heart and soul of this country, against law and order, I think stands our grounds for impeachable offenses.
Congressman, what about that? Will you move to impeach President Biden?
Look, the one thing we learned that the Democrats did is they used impeachment for political reasons. We believe in the rule of law. We're not going to pick and choose just because somebody has power. We're going to uphold the law. At any time, if someone breaks the law and the ramification comes impeachment, we would move towards that. But we're not going to use it for political purposes. Our focus is going to be securing our border, making us energy independent, bringing these prices down, making our schools safe and our streets again, and holding this administration accountable. And we will take the facts to wherever the facts go, because America has been through too much with people playing politics with the concept of impeachment. But if it rises to that level, we would have the law determine that.
I love these conversations that they have on Fox News. I mean, it's like straight from Neptune. Like, what are you talking about? You're floating impeachment. Now, like I said, talk to any leftist, and they will give you, like, solid potential reasons for impeachment. So here's one right off the top of my head. Remember when there was an attack as we were withdrawing from Afghanistan, and then the U.S. government responded to that attack by massacring a bunch of civilians with a drone? Okay, there's one thing. Shouldn't massacre innocent civilians with a drone. Just a thought. Another thing. We are sanctioning Afghanistan so thoroughly that it's leading to a famine, and women, civilians, babies are starving. Literally starving. Like, you could argue the damage from the sanctions is actually worse than the damage from the war. And that's kind of hard to be that bad because the war was horrendous and it went on for 20 years. So, okay, those are just two things. There's a number of things we could talk about in regards to Biden and how, you know what, impeachment, if we actually lived in a perfect world and the law were upheld and justice was blind, there's a number of things. Like Noam Chomsky said it best, every post-World War II American president is a war criminal. And if we actually upheld the Nuremberg laws, they'd be in The Hague. It's true. It's just true, okay? Look at the things that they mention. Now, to be fair to whoever the Republican is that they were talking to who kind of shot down the idea, and Kevin McCarthy, they are saying, look, we're not going to do it. So fair, right? But this is the conversation on Maria Bartiromo's show. Like, this is what she's thinking about. Why aren't they impeaching Biden? And the issues that were floated from the other representative, not McCarthy, the other Republican representative, were Afghanistan. Now, not talking about, hey, you're starving the country. Not talking about, hey, you did a drone strike on civilians. Talking just the withdrawing from the war, just getting out of the war. That's the thing that they're outraged by. Just pulling out of the war is the thing one of the best things he did is the thing that they have a problem with. They don't have a problem with the starving of the country. They support the starving of the country because if Biden were to give Afghanistan's money back to them, give back their central bank's assets, they would say, you're funding the Taliban. So they're like, oh, look at what's going on. Afghanistan, like ending a war? How dare he end a war? He says the border crisis. The border crisis, how many times have we gone over this? Joe Biden is using a lot of Trump-era policies on the border. He's a border hawk. He's a right-winger on the issue of the border. They just put back in place remain in Mexico. That's a Trump era policy. They were just using Title 42 until like 7 seconds ago. I think the reason why they stopped is because they were forced to stop because a court said this is unconstitutional. Title 42 is, hey, we have a pandemic, therefore no more due process. If you come in the country illegally, we're just going to ship you out immediately. He was, Biden was vice president under Obama. They called Obama the deporter in chief. He shattered all deportation records. On what planet? Oh my God, he's not tough enough on the border. If anything, he's got an open border. I've heard, like Tomato Lorenzo was tweeting on Twitter the other day. That's redundant, but she was saying, Biden's open border. It's like, what planet are you guys living on? And then my favorite line is when one of them says, Biden's, look at what he's doing. He's against law and order. He's against law. What does that even mean? He's against law and order. This is the guy that anytime somebody on the left says defund the police, he goes, that's a great idea. I will fund them more. I will increase their funding. He's against law and order. Even when Biden does this stuff that Republicans like and Republicans want, they just pretend he doesn't do it. And they attack him for being too far left. The degree to which these people are disconnected from reality is immeasurable. Immeasurable. But that's where we are. And they've always been like this. Whether it was under Obama or it's now under Biden, it's just fling mud and hope it sticks. Again, the only area where you say, fair enough, is at least they're not like, we are actually going to try impeachment. But the thing is, even the things that they would consider to impeach him for are like the least impeachable offenses. So it's incredible. This is my pitch to you. If you want real, honest conversation, real, honest criticisms and disagreement and debate, well, that's what we're here for. I will give you real criticisms of Joe Biden that are substantive. If you want mindless, criticisms that may have come from a baboon throwing a dart at a board, I'll criticize him over open borders. I don't know. Then you go to these idiots. Politics is important. Politics is serious. But these people, they treat it like it's just fucking team sport, rah-rah, our side versus their side. And there's no merit to like any of their criticisms. I'm truly astonished. These Democratic presidents are ripe for criticism, and they may as well be flinging their feces at the wall. It's a weird way to end the segment. But nonetheless, flinging feces at the wall is the end of it. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.